surfing legend Shaun Tomson. Shaun, how are you doing? Welcome to the program.
Good, man. It's good to chat to you. I'm down here in Huntington Beach at the moment, during the U.S. Open.
Oh, the middle of the chaos, huh?
Yeah, chaos down here.
Well, I guess first off, while you're down there, you've been around surfing your whole life and you've seen everything. Tell me about the U.S. Open from your eyes. I mean, what is the U.S. Open to you now versus what it used to be?
Well, it's a really unique event. I surfed in the first U.S. Open back in, I think it was 1981 or 1982, and it was a massive scene. I mean, it was the biggest crowds we'd ever seen in the U.S. mainland. There's probably 50,000 people, and today I think it's even bigger. They had a massive riot there one year. Police cars overturned. Everything was up in flames, and the contest sort of was kicked off the schedule for a while. But it's a great event. It's not a WCT event. It's part of the World Qualifying Series on the Association of Surfing Professionals too. But it's still a great event. A lot of great surfers down there.
You hail from South Africa. You're a former world champion yourself. I believe in 1977 you won a title.
Correct, yeah.
But you started with an original crew, which led to this movie that we're going to be talking about. The movie is called Busting Down the Door. And this movie, Busting Down the Door, it pretty much focuses on you. It's Rabbit Bartholomew, Mark Richards, Pete Townsend, Mark Warren, I think a couple other guys.
Ian Cairns, Mike Thompson. Yeah, there's about half a dozen guys that I think really changed surfing, all very, very distinctive personalities, all very, very, I think, larger-than-life personalities, all blessed with incredible talent and all with vastly different styles. So there was really a group of individuals that really, I think, stamped themselves on surfing and really changed the sport. So the movie's really about what it takes to achieve your dreams. It's about the passion that we all felt and the passion that we still feel. We've got wonderful interviews from all the great surfers from the period, from the great Hawaiians like Barry Kanaipuni and Jeff Hackman and Clyde Aikau, and then us guys, and then also the amazing surfers of today, guys like Kelly Slater and Andy Irons, and even young John Florence. So we've tried to get a broad mix of surfers talking about this moment in surfing that over a relatively short period of time, over 2 years, it really changed sport. It was a new attitude, a new style of surfing, and just kind of a revolution in the sport that really paved the way for everything that we see today, and it was just wonderful to have been a part of it. And the movie, I think, reflects that, and it's a very, very emotional movie. I don't like to call it a documentary. I like to call it a docudrama. It's very, very emotional and very gripping.
Beautiful. And we're talking with one of the greatest legends of all time in surfing, Shaun Tomson. And, I think when you say that you guys were like this revolution in surfing, I think that's an understatement, because you guys really just changed surfing altogether. You completely changed the definition of what surfing is. I mean, you turned it from the sport of just longboarders and cruisers into carvers and rippers and tube riders, and I mean, and you're one of these revolutionaries. Is it just something that you just kind of felt? Was it an innovation? Is that what it came to you? I mean, you just realized you can do these things. Was it just a change in surfboards? I mean, what kind of spurred?
It was a process of a number of different things. For me, specifically, the revolution in tube riding, that was kind of an organic development from riding the waves in South Africa. I grew up at a place called the Bay of Plenty, which at that time was the longest, most technically challenging tube ride in the world. It wasn't, breaking over a shallow coral reef, but it was very, 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 very technically challenging wave. And I mean, I could get tube rides back then, up to 25 seconds long, which is, it was the longest tube ride in the world then, longer than Garajigan, Kira, Superbank, all these, breaks that people say are the longest tube rides in the world. So I was lucky to grow up in that wave, and the only way you could really make it was by developing a new tube riding technique, and that's where sort of developed the whole concept of turning and riding inside the tube as opposed to just a straight line trim. So, it's very much from the environment. You are kind of a product of your environment, and certainly I was back then.
That's very true. And, you have this Wikipedia page which describes your career and what you've done throughout your life. And there's one thing that struck me when I was reading this thing, and arguably the best interview we ever had, and it was almost an hour long, was with Greg Noll.
Oh, he's a wonderful
amazing
guy, such a pioneer, such an innovator. But there's a marked difference between their generation and our generation. Our generation is still super surf stoked and still surfing. Greg had this amazing career and then rode this enormous wave in 1969, and it was like he climbed Mount Everest and stopped.
And that's what I want to talk to you about, is because he mentioned, and that's the legend, is that he rode arguably the biggest wave ever ridden, and it says here that you witnessed it.
Yeah, I witnessed it. We've got a movie of it at home. It's like the Zapruder movie there, but he asked me never to release it, and I won't. I'm sort of respecting his wishes. But I was a young boy. It was my first trip to Hawaii. It was a bar mitzvah present from my dad, and I surfed earlier that day. It was enormous, and And then it came up even a lot bigger, and Greg pedaled out and just got that fantastic way, that career-defining way. But we just look at our sport differently. Surfing is very much for all of us guys, for Rabbit and Mark Richards and Ian Cairns and my cousin Michael. It's still very much a part of our lifestyle. We still love it, and even though our competitive careers are long gone, I retired in 1989, we still just have this amazing passion for surfing and for getting the next wave tomorrow. And that's really something that we wanted to get through in the movie, that just surfing is just this wonderful transformative sport that can just make your life a lot better. And we've kept at it. It wasn't like we wanted to climb Mount Everest and then kind of go home with a conquest. We're in it for the long haul, for the long ride, and we're lucky. I mean, we didn't ever make the big money like professional golfers or tennis players
right.
or basketball or baseball, but I think the rewards that we've gotten from our sport, and we continue to get, vastly outweigh the material rewards that many other sportsmen have gotten. So I think that we all consider ourselves very, very lucky.
And we talk about money. Even surfers today are making a nice chunk of change compared to, I'm sure, your days. How do you look at surfers today? Are you happy and proud of this generation?
Oh, yeah, I think the surfers are just amazing today. I think the evolvement in technique, kind of radical approach. And I'm a big surfing fan still. I mean, I love to watch surfing on the internet.
Yeah.
I commentate a few contests on the internet. So I'm very aware of exactly what's happening, the new techniques that are being developed, the new boards the guys are riding. And another exciting thing, too, is just to see all the different spin-offs that have resulted from surfing. Guys riding alternative equipment, guys towing in, guys riding huge waves. It's wonderful to see that surfing is not all just based around competitive surfing. It has all these different spin-offs, but also something that I think is that I really love. The best surfing you'll ever see now happens in heats. The ASP have changed their criteria and they've changed their sort of competitive system, so only 2 waves are scored. So for anyone that wants to watch the best surfing in the world, all they need to do is tune into one of the 11 events on the World Championship Tour, and they'll see like 10s laid down with regularity. So that's what I really enjoy.
Another thing, you originated what's called the Surfer's Code.
Yes, yeah. My book, I read a book a couple of years ago, and it was very well received. It was the best thing I've ever done in my surfing, I think, and it was just a message from me back to the surfing community. It was in the spirit of aloha, and it's just the most important lessons that I'd learned about life from going surfing in 12 simple lessons, and I think people really appreciate it. I continue to get wonderful emails from the surf community, and it's just very heartwarming to see that the ocean can teach us so much, and I just gave back a little bit of what it taught me, and it's really helped a lot of people, I think.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, do you have the code memorized?
Yeah, well, I can give you bits and pieces of it.
Well, I have it in front of me, but if you want to read it, man, read it, because to me, every surfer should have a copy of this, or at least have read this a few times, because it is the epitome of surfing.
Yeah, I mean, just the simple concepts like always paddle back out.
Yes.
And, no matter what the circumstance, I think it's so important to paddle back out, because if you don't paddle back out, you're never going to get that next ride.
It's true.
That whole concept of optimism, of knowing that there's going to be another wave, and the concept too that sometimes it's better just to be patient. Don't try to get everything. Be a little bit patient and kind of share a bit. And, I know we all surf in crowded conditions. I'm out at Rincon sometimes. I get bloody totally frustrated sometimes. But,
yeah, exactly.
You have to know that kind of another wave is going to come through, and then never turn your back on the ocean. The ocean's a beautiful place, and a place that we all get amazing enjoyment out of. But it is dangerous too, and you've got to be very aware out there. And then also, if you've been a surfer, you need to, give back. You can't just kind of walk away from the ocean. You've got to give back, join Surf Ride, or do something to contribute, join an environmental group, pick up some trash. I think things like that are important. And then catch a wave every day in your mind. I think it's so important for all of us, because we live very stressed lives, and our lives are very busy. Sometimes you just need to escape, even if you can't go for a wave. It's just to vicariously in your mind, just grab one. In the book, I talked about Nelson Mandela. Yes, this guy was in jail for 27 years.
Yeah.
And even though his body was in prison, his mind certainly wasn't, because he was, when he was freed from prison in 1990 and ultimately became president of South Africa in 1994, he did it without any bitterness, without looking behind, and without trying to take revenge on his jailers. this was a guy whose mind had run free. He was catching a wave every day in his mind while he was in prison.
Keep ripping, man. You're going
Thanks,
strong.
man. Keep surfing, eh?
Likewise, Shaun. Take care,
Cheers.
man.